What's up, YouTube? This is the 82 and Old podcast. This time we're taking a look at Charles Barkley, the round mound of rebound. Now, Barkley was born and raised in Leeds, Alabama. It's 10 miles outside of Birmingham. And he was the first black kid to be born in a segregated all-white hospital. Now, he grew up very poor. His father abandoned the family, which included his brother Daryl Barkley. His mother remarried and they had a son, John, and another brother, Rennie, who actually died in infancy. His stepfather was killed in an accident when Charles was only 11 years old. He attended Leeds High School as a junior. Barkley stood at 5 feet 10 inches and weighed 220 pounds. He failed to make the varsity team and was named as a reserve. However, during the summer, Barkley grew to 6'4" and earned a starting position on the varsity senior. He averaged 19.1 points per game, 17.9 rebounds per game, and led his team to a 26-3 record en route to the state semifinals. Despite his improvement, Barkley gained no college attention from scouts due to the semifinals, where he scored 26 points against Alabama's most highly recruited player, Bobby Lee Hurt. And a lot of the reason why Charles Barkley wasn't heavily touted is because of his weight. So, Barkley played college for Auburn for 3 seasons. Although he struggled to control his weight, he excelled as a player. And if you look at some of his college footage, he was a great rebounder. He got a lot of boards down low, despite his height. And during his college career, Barkley played the center position. Despite being shorter than the average center, his height was only listed at 6'6", although it's stated now that he's about 6'4". So he's received numerous awards in college, including the Southeastern Conference Player of the Year. And Barkley's 3-year college career, he averaged 14.1 points on 62 field goal pursuing, 9.6 rebounds per game, and 1.7 block per game. In 1984, he led the Tigers to the first NCAA tournament in school history, and he finished with 23 points on 80% field goal shooting, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. And coincidentally enough, Auburn would retire his jersey on March 3rd, 2001. He was one of the 74 college players invited to the spring tryouts for the 1984 Olympics, coached by Bob Knight. Barkley made the initial cut in April to the final 20, but was on the 4 released in May with John Stockton, Terry Porter, and Maurice Martin. So he didn't actually plan it. But in 2010, Barkley admitted that he asked for and had been given money from former agents during his career at Auburn. Barkley called the sums he had requested from agents as being chump change, and he went on to say, "Why can't an agent lend me some money? I'll pay him back when I graduate," according to Barkley. He paid off all the money he borrowed after being in the first NBA contract. That's why I'm glad to see NCAA players getting paid today, because Barkley's right. A lot of these players in college, they need to find a way to make money. And the NCAA is making so much money off of them. And they're risking their future, because what if they have a terrible injury and then they don't get to go to the NBA? So, an interesting story about Barkley is he declared for the 84 draft, and the Philadelphia 76ers were looking at him. And they told him, because he struggled with his weight his entire collegiate career. He was about 300 pounds in high school. The Sixers called him about a month before the draft and said they wanted to get him down to 285 pounds. And so he didn't have any issue with that. But you got to understand, at the time, teams had a hard luxury tax. They couldn't go over. So what turned Barkley off about wanting to be drafted by the Sixers is if they drafted him, they were going to give him $75,000. And Barkley's initial reaction is, I'm not trying to leave college for just $75,000. So his strategy was he's going to get himself as fat as possible so the Sixers won't draft him. And he said he would go to Denny's 2 times a day. He would get 2 Grand Slam breakfasts, and he would get 2 buttermilk pancakes, 2 eggs cooked to order, 2 bacon strips, and 2 sausage links, all with hash browns and bread, coffee, juice. And he claims he gained 20 pounds over the course of 48 hours from all his eating. He would order pizzas, just getting himself as fat as he can. And at the weigh-in, he was 302 pounds. And he was thinking, thank goodness the Sixers aren't going to draft me. And despite this reaction, he felt like shit because of his size, And the Sixers went ahead and drafted him anyways. So it never even worked. But when he joined the team, there was a veteran on the team, Moses Malone. And Moses Malone kind of took Charles Barkley under his wing. And he would work out with Barkley. And he got Barkley down to 250 pounds. And the rest is history. So in that 84 draft, they had other guys like John Stockton, Hakeem Olajuwon, Michael Jordan. But he was drafted pretty early on in the draft. He was drafted 5th. Now, his first year there, this is coming off of 2 years removed, or a year removed from the Philadelphia 76ers championship in 83. So how blessed were the Sixers who win a championship and get the 5th pick and get a generational player in Charles Barkley. And he's in the front court with Moses Malone. So he plays the power forward his first year. He puts up 14 points per game, 8.6 rebounds, 1.2 steals, and 1.0 blocks on 54% shooting. Now, the Philadelphia 76ers would go 58-24 for that year, losing in the Eastern Conference Finals 4-1 to the Boston Celtics. Now, you got to understand the thing about this Philadelphia team is they were very stacked. Like going into the 85-6 season, they had Maurice Cheeks, Charles Barkley, Moses Malone, Julius Erving, Bobby Jones, Bob McAdoo. So this team had a lot of good players on paper. And realistically, they should have won the championship that year. But a lot of it was injuries. Because Moses Malone didn't play in that conference finals. Or I'm sorry, the semifinals. Where they would lose in 7 games to the Milwaukee Bucks. And they only lost 112-113. But that's when they broke the team up. They got rid of Moses Malone. And Julius Erving would retire in the 86-87 season. So Barkley was left leading this team on his own. So for the 87-88 season, they went 36-46. They didn't even make the playoffs. He puts up 28 points per game, 11.9 rebounds, 3.2 assists per game, 1.3 steals, 1.3 blocks, and 58% shooting from the field. And it's kind of like this for Philly. He'd either make the playoffs and have an early exit, or they wouldn't make the playoffs at all. But he was always at the top of the league of inefficiency. And in the 1990 season, he finished second in MVP voting. He put up 25 points per game, 11.5 rebounds, 3.9 assists per game, 1.9 steals on an elite 60% shooting. And that was his best Philly team in terms of him leading it. They went 53-29, but they lost to the Chicago Bulls in the second round. Now, the 91 season, they got bounced by the Chicago Bulls again. Going into the 92 season, this is when Barkley was fed up. So he wasn't getting any younger. He demanded a trade. Now, he almost went to the Los Angeles Lakers, which I did a video on that. But he gets traded to the Phoenix Suns. And his first year in Phoenix is his best year. The Phoenix Suns go 62-20. Charles Barkley puts up an elite 25 points per game, 12.2 rebounds per game, 5.1 assists per game, 1.6 steals, 1.0 blocks, 52% from the field, and 30% from three. And he wins his first and only MVP. They go to the finals where they're matched up against the Chicago Bulls. Now, the Phoenix Suns were favored to win this series in a lot of people's mind because they were a much well-rounded team. And they had guys like Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley, Danny Ainge, Tom Chambers. So in a lot of people's minds, the Suns were going to dethrone the Bulls, who had won the two previous championships. And it's a very good series. It goes down to Game 6, and the Bulls actually win it off of a game winner, 99-98. And what's funny is during this series, Barkley declared himself the best player in the world. And there's a story I heard where he told his daughter during this time that he's the best player in the world. He's going to defeat Jordan. And he says, if I can at least get 25 points per game, I can defeat Jordan and the Bulls. But Jordan averages 41 points per game on an elite 50-40. And Barkley, although he had a great series, didn't get it done. And that would be his last finals appearance. I mean, 94, they lose in 7 games to the Houston Rockets. And they probably should have won that year. Yeah. 95, they blew a 3-1 lead to the Houston Rockets, despite going 59-23. I think the 94-95 would have been good opportunities for the Suns to go back to the finals, especially with Jordan being gone. But Barkley's team started falling apart by 95-96. They only go 41-41, losing in the first round. Now, after this season, Charles Barkley would get traded to the Houston Rockets. So, if you can't beat them, join them. And on the Houston Rockets, he joins Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon. And this is one of the disappointing big threes that we've seen in history. Despite his 19.2 points per game and 13.5 rebounds, and they had an impressive record. They went 57-25. They lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Utah Jazz. And it was in Game 6 where John Stockton hit a clutch three-pointer, and that sealed it. They won the game. So the Rockets didn't make it to the finals. And my personal opinion, I would have preferred to see the Rockets go to the finals. Because we got the Jazz-Bulls matchup in 98. I think it would have been fun to see the Rockets with Hakeem Olajuwon, Drexler, and Charles Barkley team up to try to stop Jordan and Pippen. I don't think they would have beat the Bulls. Because there's always this argument now from Rockets fans where they say, well, Jordan never played a big in the finals. Well, it doesn't matter. Jordan beat Shaquille O'Neal in the conference finals. He beat Patrick Ewing in the conference finals. I think they'd be able to handle the Rockets, but it would have been a great series to watch. Now, the 97-98 season, they struggled hard that year. Barkley would only play 68 games. Hakeem would only play 47. That would be Clyde Drexler's last year. He retired. They go 41-41, and they lose to Utah. Now, the 98-99 season with the Rockets, Scottie Pippen joined them, trying to get a ring. And he said he regretted playing with Charles Barkley. And he said after he left the Rockets that playing with Charles Barkley was one of the worst moves he did. Barkley wasn't motivated to win. And this is something that Jordan has said too. Jordan said Barkley is not a winner. He never had that drive. And some of that has some truth to it. And that would actually, the 99-2000 season would be Barkley's last year after he would retire due to knee injuries. He'd only played 20 games that year, and that's it. But he still put up 14 points per game and 10 rebounds with bad knees in those games that he played. But there's a lot of factors that go into why Barkley never won. He came in Philly a little too late for them. Their championship window had closed. He joined the Phoenix Suns a little too late. And he joined the Rockets a little too late. So I don't always buy into this argument that he wasn't a hard enough worker to go and lead a team. I think he wanted it badly. And sometimes it's just the teams that he's on. And it's true. He didn't. Although they made the finals in '93 and they were the winner, you can't fault him for losing to Jordan. Everyone lost to Jordan back then. Jordan had the second most points scored in a finals game in that series. And Barkley is still, in my opinion, the second greatest power forward of all time. He's an 11-time All-Star. He's a 1987 rebound champ, 11-time All-NBA, 1985 All-Rookie, 1991 All-Star Game MVP, 1993 MVP. And he's got career averages of 22 points per game, 11.7 rebounds per game, 3.9 assists per game, 1.5 steals per game, and he has an elite 54% shooting. And to me, Barkley is starting to become one of the most underrated players of all time. A lot of people are forgetting his greatness. He was very well-rounded. Yes, he wasn't a great defender. He did get steals, occasional blocks, but he wasn't a good post defender. He was a great rebounder. He had a great post game, great mid-range game, and he could even at times take it out from deep and shoot from three. I'm not saying he's like a Steph Curry, but he had a good three-point game at times. And there were seasons, like in '87, where he averaged 14.6 rebounds per game. He always averaged double digits, except for his rookie season in rebounding. So, let me know what you guys think down below. Thanks for watching.